The New York Knicks are making some serious changes that fans have been calling for months now. Ever since Mike Brown was hired to be the head coach of this team, there's been a lot of questions surrounding what changes he's going to make in comparison to when Tom Thibodeau coached the Knicks, and now it has become very clear what his plans are, and even some of those plans have been leaked to the public, and it has Knicks fans in a frenzy right now. Very excited to see what this is going to happen, what's going to happen next, really, as fans are locked in on this new look Knicks team, and we're going to discuss all of that. There's a lot to go over with the Knicks right now, as this is one of the deepest teams in the NBA, and there's a ton of excitement around it. But guys, before we do that, if you're part of that 57% that's not subscribed to Knicks Digest, make sure to subscribe for daily New York Knicks updates so you don't miss a single thing about the Knicks. Right now, with training camp underway, there's a lot to talk about with this team, and a lot of stuff happening very quickly that you don't want to miss out on. But guys, jumping right into the video, there is a lot to discuss, as Mike Brown took over a Knicks team that really was very, very much in an interesting spot. They just made the conference finals for the first time in around 25 years, or not in around 25 years, in 25 years. And with that, it sort of led to this expectation that even though there was thought of Tom Thibodeau potentially getting fired, it probably wasn't going to happen. However, just days after the Knicks got eliminated, they did fire Thibodeau, and they moved forwards with Mike Brown very quickly and basically made it clear that they wanted to see some changes, specifically in regards to the offensive end of things. The Knicks wasted no time, and Mike Brown has been very much at just in the spotlight, completely discussing everything that's going to happen, and the main question has been lineups. There's been a lot of questions surrounding lineups, and as we saw Stephen Bondy mention, Mike Brown plans on playing a rotation of 9 or 10 players, going completely away from Thibodeau's 8-man rotation, and on top of that, he is not settled yet on a starting lineup. But there's been a lot of comments surrounding that starting lineup that fans cannot get over, and rightfully so. Last year, we saw a starting lineup that just did not really work at all. And once they got solved, once they got figured out that you could just put a big man on Josh Hart, he wasn't going to shoot threes if you left him open, the efficiency absolutely plummeted. There's been a lot of talk about that and what's going to happen, and Ian Begley did mention that when it comes to... Now, what Ian Begley actually mentioned was last season the Knicks started Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl-Anthony Towns. The lineup showed early promise but struggled in the latter part of the regular season. That starting five had a negative 1.4 net rating in regular season games played on or after January 1st, 2025. The starting five was also being outscored by a total of 50 points through the first 13 games of their 17-game playoff run. Former head coach Tom Thibodeau switched his starters after a Game 2 of the Knicks-Pacers series, inserting Mitchell Robinson into the starting lineup with Josh Hart coming off of the bench. Now, with that, we've seen a lot of success, but also we've seen other lineups work as well that's not this Josh Hart lineup. According to Data Baller, when we look at the lineup that features Jalen Brunson, Deuce McBride, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl-Anthony Towns, we see one of the most efficient, actually the most efficient offensive lineup of any team that got serious minutes. Their net rating was not as good as some other ones, but it was a positive at a 2.1, which was better than what we saw out of the starting five we saw all season, and better than the starting five that we saw in the final 4 games against the Indiana Pacers. This is a lineup that fans are not expecting to have, and a lot of people don't like because it's undersized. There's concerns about rebounding, and that's totally valid. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns, phenomenal rebounder, don't get me wrong, but outside of Towns, OG Anunoby's an underrated rebounder, but really, there's not much else to really be excited about rebounding-wise, so when we consider that, it definitely is something to be aware of. But at the same time, I'm really not too concerned about the rebounding aspect. We've also seen Mike Brown switch starting lineups around before in Sacramento. And I've mentioned this before on the channel. In Sacramento, Mike Brown started De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis, a dominant rebounding presence. Is anyone else on that lineup? Absolutely not. And honestly, the Knicks, when you compare that team, that Kings team that was the most efficient offense in NBA history at the time, and then this Knicks team, first of all, the Knicks roster is just way better. But, like, outside of that, the rebounding alone, the Knicks are better rebounding. I mean, OG Anunoby, again, underrated rebounder who is able to get down there and bang with the best of them. So when we consider all that, it does make a lot of sense. But on top of that, there is a lot to think about. I mean, the biggest thing that we've seen thus far is that when we look into Knicks training camp, we actually got some images, which is very rare because the Knicks keep things very tightly locked up. But Mitchell Robinson was revealed to be running with the starters. The Knicks starters in training camp and in practice wear blue, while the bench wears gray and the reserves wear an orangish, maroonish color that we see in this photo. We see Tyler Kolek wearing, and guys like Landry Shamet are also in that. But also for the record, Malcolm Brogdon's in gray. But when it comes to it, Mitchell Robinson is inserted into the starting lineup. So right now, where things stand, as mentioned by Knicks Fan TV and Steve Popper, we're seeing Mike Brown. His plans thus far look like they're including Mitchell Robinson, and that is something that fans have wanted to see, myself included. Yeah, the Knicks don't have a bunch of backup reserve bigs. Gershon Yabusele's an undersized four, or not an undersized four, but would be an undersized five, who's truly a four in every sense of the word. And Ariel Hukporti, though not proven, has shown a lot of potential, but still an unproven young guy and an undersized power forward or undersized center playing power forward is one of those situations where we understand that starting Mitchell Robinson is going to lead to a short bench. The Knicks would have to stagger Mitchell's minutes with Towns's. There's no other way to do it. But at the same time, we've seen multiple coaches decide that Karl-Anthony Towns is at his best when he's playing the four, and that having a dominant defensive big man next to him is the best way for success. The Knicks looked way better when Mitchell Robinson went into the starting lineup, and on top of that, the Minnesota Timberwolves had their most success when Cat was at the four with Rudy Gobert at the five in the season that they actually got to play together because Cat wasn't out for all but 31 games with an injury. So considering everything surrounding the Knicks right now, it does make a lot of sense to go out there and sort of experiment with these lineups while we're in training camp. It's clear the Knicks don't have an exact plan to what their starting lineup is, and they don't have to right now. That's not something that necessarily has to happen. And when we also consider Josh Hart's finger injury, that's something we have to think about. I mean, he actually said, I don't think about it too much. If I can't play how I play, I figure out a different path. But my full expectation is to go out there and hoop. Then and after this year, we'll see what happens. But instead of just trying to figure out what's wrong, I'm just going to not really focus on the injury, and I'm just going to be good. He's not going to be comfortable wearing a finger splint, as he's already said, but at the end of the day, he's going to wear it. He's going to feel fine. He's going to get it down. He'll get used to it. He's a professional basketball player. He's going to learn how to play with a splint on his finger if he has to learn, but it does cause some concern for shooting. The man already was hesitant to shoot a three. Now, if he's got a finger splint, that hesitation is going to be way more prominent, and on top of that, we're also going to see his numbers probably take a little bit of a dip, considering it is his right hand after all. So when we consider that, teams are going to continue to do the big man on Josh Hart, just helping on Cat, so Cat's getting doubled and not allowed to play down low, and the Knicks spacing gets ruined. This is just such a reason to put Josh Hart on the bench unit, especially considering it's a bench unit that is not short on shot creation and also guard depth as well, so they can kind of hook Josh up in his best spots, whether it's Malcolm Brogdon or Jordan Clarkson both being out there. It makes you think that Deuce McBride really is the correct answer to start here. I've been a big fan of this idea for a while, and also when you look at the numbers of a guy like Gershon Yabusele, he could be a sneaky starter as well for the Knicks. He put up 11 points per game last year, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 50% from the field and 38% from three, including shooting 36% on corner threes, meaning his above-the-break three-point percentage was absolutely incredible. We saw a stat a while back when Yabusele first got signed that his above-the-break three-point shooting, so when you don't count the corner threes, when it's just the wings in the top of the key, he shot better than Steph Curry last year. That man is a great shooter. Yeah, the defense can cause some issues, but he's physical, and this is an offensively focused Knicks team. I mean, you still have Mikal Bridges out there. You still have OG Anunoby out there. If you start Deuce, you have elite perimeter defense that, yeah, Cat's not a rim protector. Jalen Brunson's not a defender, but at the same time, you're going to have solid defense regardless when you have such good individual defenders out there. Mike Brown will find a system. He's been a good defensive coach in the past. He's leaned more offensively after his years with the Warriors, which makes sense. Basketball is an offensively focused game, at least at the NBA level nowadays, but it is something to consider. Guys, who do you want to see this starting lineup be? Comment that down below because there's been a bunch of conflicting opinions, and if we're being honest, it could be 4 different guys at this point, and some people are also floating the idea of putting Jordan Clarkson in there. So we know the top 4. We know it's Brunson. We know it's Mikal. We know it's OG. We know it's Cat, but it could really be anyone from Josh Hart to Mitchell Robinson to Yabusele to Deuce McBride to even Jordan Clarkson. It's going to be interesting to see how this all works out. Let me know what you want to see down below. Like this video, subscribe so you don't miss a single Knicks update. Turn on post notifications. Have a great day. I'll catch you later.